and jellyfish, welcome back to a very special episode of Ask Air. Today I'll be compiling all 4 parts of my previous series, and ranking every single Benton alien from worst to best. I've made standalone videos on this if you want to watch it chronologically, but for today, I've shuffled the deck and ranked every single alien while maintaining my original rankings within each show. With no further ado, we've got over 60 aliens to rank, so let's kick it off with the worst. By far the worst Benton alien ever, Walkatrout. Who in the hell came up with this alien? Did they literally sit down and think, hey, we need something worse than Arctiguana. Let's just take a blue fish and give him absolutely no powers. He'll be short and fat with little T-Rex arms, so he definitely can't fight. And you know what? We'll just make him a running gag for Ben to transform into when he doesn't want him, because that's not an old joke we've done since literally the first episode. Well, I don't want a running gag, and I'm pretty sure most fans don't either. And if he's gonna be a running gag, like Wrath for example, at least make him funny or cool. This one totally takes the bottom spot by a wide margin. Yeah, another one of Omniverse's throwaway aliens that achieves absolutely nothing cool. This is the kind of alien that bootleg YouTubers would have drawn in those cringy merge videos from 2014, or the kind of alien you'd pretend to be part of Ben's playlist when you have a random action figure you want to incorporate into your playing. As an alien, Mole-Stache really has nothing going for him. I mean, his mustache is strong, and it can twirl around and make him fly, but can it actually do anything else? I just wish we had a scene where a Vaxasaurian just steps on this guy like it's a game of Whack-A-Mole-Stache. The worst classic alien by far has to be Buzzshock. An electricity alien was probably well needed in this show, and being a small annoying battery concept does sound intriguing on its own, until you actually execute it and realize it's an idiotic idea that gets incredibly infuriating to watch, with the annoying voice, face, and attitude it gives Ben. His design only gets worse with time, and it wasn't even that good to begin with. Buzzshock is definitely shocking in how terrible he is, conceptually and executionally. I know there's some obscure love out there in some circles for Kickin, but I just don't buy it. His whole concept is so foreign to Ben 10, and it feels really out of the blue when he transforms. They definitely just wanted to add this one so they could say they had a chicken alien, and milk him for a few puns, but past that, there's really nothing to this alien. He's supposed to be Ben's best hand-to-hand fighter, but who really cares about that? This ain't Street Fighter. Ben can use other abilities to kick ass. He doesn't need Kickin any more than he needs Mole-Stache, and that's why it's so low on this list for me. Never liked this one from the start. They just needed a werewolf alien in Ben 10 where he slowly grows hairy and rabid throughout the episode, and they needed an alien that will shoehorn Kai into the mix and create all sorts of annoying platitudes there. Benwolf or Blitzwolfer's powers are limited to being a fast dog or wolf, and having a sonic howl, which I'll admit is kinda cool, but the way he does it is basically improved by Echo Echo, and the way his mouth folds open always made me cringe. Seriously, why does his mouth rip into pieces? Also, I never liked the design for this one. His legs are like abnormally skinny, and he has weird shaped torso and arms. Yeah, let's just move on because I hate Benwolf. The second worst Halloween alien that show spewed out was Benvicktor, or Frankenstrike, who was just an electricity alien, masquerading as some sort of Dr. Frankenstein ripoff. It's just so basic, I'm sorry. I expected more from the Ben 10 crew, who somehow made an alien so unthinkably overused in popular culture that it almost feels unfit in the Ben 10 alien roster, and would change little to nothing if it was removed. Mummy alien. Not gonna lie, I prefer what they did with this one in Omniverse, but generally, this alien's super bland and mid. Not much powers aside from basically being extendable rope, and I find his entire character's persona and backstory to be predictable and boring. Not much for this one except boring. I have a personal hatred for Weevil, and if I was a bit more biased, it would definitely be at the bottom of this list. But I have to be fair to this one, because unlike a lot of Omniverse's worst aliens, this one actually has powers. But I just hate aliens that degrade the identity of Ben 10. This isn't Pokemon. We don't need aliens that look like this. His name makes no sense, his design is mediocre at best, and his voice is just grating to listen to. My main gripe is the complete overuse of this one throughout Omniverse. I know he didn't have an insane amount of appearances, but he was in a lot of important episodes, and took up time that frankly much better aliens could have taken. Screw Weevil. I enjoyed Bullfrag for about one episode before the joke faded away into something funny. Yes, as a foil to Atea, and especially in the Frogs of War special, Bullfrag was awesome. His design was funny and interesting, and his voice added a deeper layer to it all. But past that, Bullfrag was used as another throwaway alien that doesn't really have any abilities. The only reason he's higher than Weevil is his glasses. I like him a lot. Does anyone honestly like Fasttrack? If anyone truly does for some reason, I'd honestly love to know why in the comments. Fasttrack is hated by most fans for the general fact that he's a complete copy of Accelerate, with almost zero difference, aside from having less charm, less charisma, a worse voice, and a meek design that feels stupid and unmenacing. Even the way he runs in blue is a sham of the original. Ugh, I hate this alien. I mean, you literally had Accelerate in the theme song, just bring him back then! Another shameless copy that does nothing new, and even backtracks a bit. Every time Eatle was on screen, especially with his robotic UA design, I just wanted to skip forward and watch Ultimate Echo Echo already. Just watch us fight with Vilgax and try to tell me it's cool in any way, shape, or form. Just use Upchuck instead. I mean, he literally uses him in other cases, so the idea of this alien is just flawed from inception. Pesky Dust is an interesting one for sure. I know this one is supposed to be like a Pokemon thing, but I like him much more than Weevil. Him, right? I swear, he's the only alien that I can't tell whether it's a man or a woman, even though all of Ben's aliens are obviously dudes. Anyway, the name is much better, the design isn't half bad, and the powers are much cooler. I personally always laugh when he haunts Charles Zenith's nightmares, and it's just interesting that we've never had a dream alien before this one. I guess Amphibian sort of could have done this, but they never explored that sadly. The main issue with Pesky Dust is his voice, unfortunately. It's really hard to understand the words, and Omniverse just went too far sometimes in this realm. They were tasked with adding even more unique voices after the hundreds of characters from the other 3 shows, and they took some risks for sure. This is just a bad one in my eyes. The problem with Chamalien is the lack of actual content we get to see with him in it. He was only used briefly in all his 3 appearances, and it was just a massive shame because an invisible alien, although not exactly new, was a great idea, and the concept of being this slimy reptile with the colored eyes was just kind of intuitive, I guess. I also just love the German accent. Ben's smallest alien also happens to be one of his weakest, and among the Alien Force roster is definitely last place here. There's not really much here aside from a small alien to fly into small places and mess with the machine's wiring, but that's nothing a slightly bigger gray matter couldn't do before, and in a much funnier way, mind you. Nanomech's only real power is shooting little lasers, but they're so small that it serves more as a joke alien for Gwen to catch in her spellbook, rather than anything truly menacing or cool. I don't see the hate for this one, to be honest. I think among all the small Omniverse aliens, the worst is certainly the funniest, the most creative among them. The design is just fine. I mean, you guys know how I feel about the underpants, but the yellow fat body actually fits perfectly for this alien in my eyes. The fact that he's indestructible but still feels pain is absolutely hilarious, and I wish he was used in more practical applications throughout the show. Yeah, see? When you actually make me laugh, it makes up for your crappy aliens. Juryrigg's concept is actually quite intriguing at first. The power of being a small red dude who can fix and destroy things is a pretty neat idea, but this one once again falls flat in execution, as the character design in Ultimate Alien is abysmal and completely destroys the alien when you simply look at the frickin' thing. I also wish we got more from him, and maybe if they did it right he would have become a poster alien that kids want cute plushes of or something. Maybe that was the intention, but maybe making him a little demon wasn't the way to go. Crashhopper! Pretty good wordplay on the name there, and a pretty decent design on this one. Crashhopper was one of the OG Omniverse aliens from the first season, and I never had a problem with him. I mean, there's plenty of better aliens, but he was a pretty well-needed alien when it came to hopping long distances and headbutting crap. I guess the closest thing we had to that before was forearms, but never really in this way. The sound effect it makes when he jumps is funny too, but I never really felt attached to this alien personally. Moving on. I know I'm going to get a lot of heat for this one, but I think among the original 10 roster, Ripjaws is the weakest among the bunch. I do like how he's the water alien, especially since a bunch of the other 10 are basically not allowed to go anywhere near water, but this one is basically allergic to anything not water. So what's really better here? His entire concept is boring aside from having strong teeth, even stronger than Wildmite I assume, but even then, the whole fish concept doesn't really intrigue me. Nothing personal, and he does get a cool voice and a bunch of interesting moments to shine, but Ripjaws doesn't really float my boat personally. Echo was cooler. I don't quite understand the appeal of creating an alien just to crap on it, but Upchuck was always the butt of every joke since his inception, and it always bugged me. Sure, his concept is throwing up, but who cares? His concept could have been a lot cooler than what they came up with. I do like the frog concept, and how he's a bit shorter and fatter, but I'm generally not a fan of butt monkey characters, and this is probably the biggest one for an alien, aside from probably Walkatrout or the worst. Haha, Terraspin, get it? Because he's a terrapin and he spins! Lovely wordplay there, gents. And quite a nice alien you got there. Nothing crazy, but decent enough for what it wants to do. Among the 5 Andromeda aliens, Terraspin is easily the weakest and blandest one, but his backstory is actually my favorite episode in the entire season. Galapagus is quite the alien, and after he leaves and we're left with Ben as Terraspin, the boring side comes out and diminishes this alien greatly. The monotone voice, the boring design, and the simple powers just can't compete with what's to come. No, I don't usually say this, but I have a bit of a soft spot for Eye Guy, and find him to be the ideal alien to be introduced in the last special of the series. His powers are pretty iconic, and his design is actually really stylish for the concept. The big eyes surrounded by smaller eyes all over his body are really clever, and the buck face is definitely the right idea. The ironically sad part is that we only get to see this alien for one episode before he's locked away until Omniverse, which really sucks because it means he was generally really overlooked after his only appearance. Overlooked. I risk my case. Magnetism! A truly interesting idea that, to be fair, was one of a kind as of Alien Force in Lodestar. But after we see the potential of an alien like Gravitite later in Omniverse, it really diminishes this alien, especially because the potential for this was so much more than they implemented here. Why make him a humanoid robot when he could just be an entire planet? I mean, I do like how he's made up of magnets and his head floating is cool, but the rest of him just seems lackluster and bland. Not terrible, and again, I'm not taking originality points away from it because Lodestar was the first magnetism alien, but in terms of execution, it could have been improved tenfold. I know there's a lot of niche love out there for Jetray, so cut me some slack here. Most of the Alien Force roster is already amazing, and most of these aliens I don't really have a problem with like I did with the classic roster, but Jetray is generally a very run-of-the-mill alien. Sure, he can fly in space at supersonic speeds, and he kinda looks cool with the different color scheme, and some other third thing, but almost Jetray's entire premise feels bland and predictable to me. It's like an AI generation of a Ben 10 alien. He flies, he shoots laser, but not only out of his eyes, also out of his tail. He's voiced by D. Baker, and oh, he also looks like a manta ray. No wonder they totally shafted him in Omniverse. When you put him next to Stink Fly and Big Chill, he's pretty much useless. Ugh, the fart alien? Nah, but seriously though, I've done got raw a bit dirty in the past. He's actually a really cool alien with awesome abilities. His design is cool and looks really good. The colors all fit the alien, and the gaseous chamber fits the idea they were looking for. It just feels a bit uninspired in my opinion. Like, this design is definitely something I would have come up with if they pitched me a gas alien. Maybe a more creative team would have made him a ball of gas, and he swirls around to create different concoctions, or, I don't know, something. But yeah, his abilities are still awesome. He can make tear gas, laughing gas, knockout gas, and acid. That's just the ones we saw on screen. I'm gonna just say one thing though, if this alien was from Ultimate Alien, they would have done a lot better job with him. Sort of like how Water Hazard removed the moisture from the air instead of just shooting water balls, you know? There are definitely more possibilities to this one, but sadly we only saw the basics. Ben's smartest alien, supposedly, Grey Matter. Not gonna lie, I like Grey Matter. Considering the Galvans become one of the most important species in the franchise, Grey Matter is certainly important, but as far as powers go, he is a really prime example of more vice than good. I mean, come on, he may be smart, but that's with the hilarious but still weak compromise of being Ben's smallest classic alien, and offering little to no physical advantage in battle. Grey Matter is confined to his brains, and that's fair enough, but don't be mad at me for putting him this low. Vampire is cool as hell. The design looks absolutely stellar. As far as the powers go, this one doesn't hold back. He can mind control others, drain them of their energy, and fly while he does it, even turning into a bat-like version of himself at times. The big weakness is sunlight though, which I think is pretty funny and fitting for this guy. I really think this one was underrated. The name is cool, and the Romanian accent is a nice touch too. Armadillo was a personal favorite toy of mine as a kid because he could theoretically kick Ultimate Humongousaur's ass if you just screwdrivered him in the face. He just seems like the best Hulk alien, and being made of some kind of hard metal can feel like an alien that can take hits easily and be more indestructible in comparison. Ironically, Armadillo is used in a more sad way a lot of the series, having an innocent voice, and being often cruelly punished by enemies can actually make you find him quite cute rather than intimidating, which I'm not sure is the approach that was meant or appropriate for that matter with this sort of dude. Maybe that's just me, but I'm fine with calling Armadillo slightly above average. As a Ben 10 fan, it feels almost illegal to have Ghost Freak this low. Look, I loved all the Ghost Freak episodes, I think they were handled amazingly. I love his design, his voice, and he gets a bunch of awesome powers like intangibility, mind control, and being scary, but those are all just basic ghost powers. Ghost Freak feels incredibly mundane in concept and never strays to anything original from the ghost shtick. Like when they gave him the scary tentacles, that's awesome. Do more of that, because it differentiates him from every other ghost in media. But as it is, Ghost Freak feels predictable and mundane in every aspect. They're all good, and especially when he skips the Omnitrix and makes him main character for a while. But honestly, how much brain power must it have taken to come up with this concept? Yeah, exactly. A personal guilty pleasure alien of mine, especially with the fantastic introduction episode, Wildvine is a really cool alien with really unique abilities that will later be stolen by aliens to come. He can communicate with plant life, can throw grenade-like clusters on his back, and I mean, come on, his design is so damn good. His abilities speak for themselves, but his general presence and stature gives this one a major advantage in my eyes. Ooh, this scary alien. Not gonna lie, I needed way more of this alien to even remember its existence. But it's another one of those aliens that they say is super powerful, but really wasn't even shown more than a few times. I think an alien that is so scary it can theoretically defeat celestial sapiens is funny as hell, and the design for this one is actually kinda nice. It low-key makes me imagine what an Ultimate the Worst would look like. I mean seriously, can you imagine an Ultimate the Worst? If Topic got a bit more time to shine, maybe I'd put him a little higher, but as it is, just a bit overhyped in my eyes. Spider Monkey is to Ben 10 aliens what Rex is to Toy Story. The story really wouldn't be that different without him, but there's something about him that just fits in with the rest of the cast. Enough said. One of Ben's funniest aliens in my opinion, unintentionally. I just love the stupid ass idea of having a genius alien that's also a crab, who has this giant brain that he can shoot electricity out of, and fly, and have telekinesis. Seriously though, other than that epic Avengers battle with Brainstorm, he was seriously underutilized throughout the shows. I love his design, especially his voice, and his powers are kinda repetitive with the other aliens, but sort of stand on their own crab legs as well when you take all their different types of shocks he sends into consideration. So, all things considered, that's why Brainstorm is here on this ranking. Much like Topic, Atomics was overhyped as hell and totally didn't deserve all the hype he was given. These guys tried to convince us that he's equal to Alien X level power. I mean, come on. You can't just say an alien is powerful but only give us a handful of appearances. That's how you lose credibility in my eyes. And Atomics is the opposite of authentic as an alien. His voice is super annoying and obnoxious, and his design looks like something out of Techadon headquarters. However, while this alien was certainly overhyped and all that, his powers are still pretty cool. I love anything having to do with nuclear blasts, and the fact that he yells out his signature moves like Wrath and Echo Echo was always cool to me. Lego Gorilla. I know a lot of people find Blocks infuriating and then he deserves the bottom spot on every single list or whatever, but I actually found him to be a super practical alien in combat. Yeah, he was obviously cashing for the popularity of Lego at the time, but hey, so was a Lego movie. Now I don't hear anyone hate on that. Blocks comes in handy on making walls, containing bombs, creating long chains, and basically being able to make any structure he feels like in a fight. His design and especially his voice are also badass, and adds a lot to this alien's overall stature. I just find it hard to believe there's a whole planet full of Lego gorillas. One of these and it's game over for this guy. Water Hazard's design both times has been awesome, and that heavily slanted my views of him going in, because looking this cool has got to give him some kind of brownie points. His water powers have surprisingly never been implemented before in Ben 10, despite being an essential element that should have been one of the classics in my opinion. His ability to absorb moisture from the air is also a super clever touch that only could have come from Ultimate Alien's more mature writing. The voice was also very well done, all the different times, although I'm kinda left wishing they kept it more consistent with by Valve in the final cut, and even the Omniverse version. All still good though. Amphibian is another alien that was totally shafted throughout the series. I had this tweet up a while ago poking fun at this fact, and the fact that he has so many awesome powers, some of which we never even used by the way, and he was still overshadowed by the one-hit wonder aliens that were favored by the writers or network for some reason. Amphibian's design is super cool, and if he'd just gotten a few more appearances to show off his awesome powers, kinda like the Avengers battle did for Brainstorm, I think it would have left a better taste in a lot of fans' mouths. I love Cannonbolt. It's a bit of a shame he was nerfed big time in later versions and was always beaten by every bad guy, but in the classic series he was one of my favorites for sure. Just the image of a really bloated fat Ben as he transformed was always funny to see, but aside from that, even his introductory episode is amazing. I mean seriously, The Big Take was a beautiful episode that also happened to introduce Cannonbolt in a pretty serious way. His roly-poly powers are pretty original, and feel like they were among the unorthodox aliens of the roster, meaning they weren't in line with brains, brawn, speed, fire, water, and air. I had heard he had originally planned to replace Ghost Freak as the 10th alien, but was later replaced, which I'm kinda happy about because he didn't really fit with the original 10 playlist, given his more unique power ability. Big props to them though, for giving him the spotlight on the season 2 theme song, even dropping an adorable little Cannonbolt animation too. Astrodactyl is actually one of my favorite aliens. I know, Jetray with whips, big deal, but the way this alien came together in the end is truly beautiful. The design is very human, giving him all he needs in a red and yellow package that looks awesome. His powers are also badass. He gets the jetpack, he can fly, he can quickly open his wings up like one of those old Batman toys, and he can propel himself up super quick. He has energy whips, and he can even shoot energy out of his mouth, and do these cool propulsion blasts. Overall, a fantastic alien that encapsulates everything I loved about Jetray, ditches some of the lame aspects I didn't like, while adding some cool new things too. Wildmud is probably the simplest alien, even among the entire roster, and honestly, I don't mind that at all. His powers come in handy super often with finding invisible foes, finding clues with his smell, and just biting the crap out of bad guys who it would be cruel to mutilate if not by a dog. I love the idea that his vice is his sense of vision, and how he can only see a kind of infrared view of people, and how his eyes are covered when he's sick. He's also Ben's only alien to not talk, and it makes for a lot of fun comedic moments. I love Wildmutt and find him to be quite entertaining. Glukvuk is the second alien from the show to implement the German accent, which is both hilarious and kind of weird to me at the same time. His powers are absolutely insane, and actually got the light of day to shine in a lot of important episodes throughout Omniverse. Even in frickin' Ultimate Alien, we get a lot of cool scenes with clockwork, like turning Nesmith's stick into dust, and rewinding a specific room and time to find out where the dragon come from. Totally awesome and creative writing with that, from a totally awesome and cool alien with a slick, perfect design. Did you know NRG's hilarious Russian accent is reference to how Russia acquired some of the world's first nuclear warheads in the Cold War? I don't know if that's true, Benton Wiki, I don't see a reference. Anyway, NRG is the best Ultimate Alien and here's why. He's a badass furnace with the ability to shoot energy blasts through his suit, he can control lava and blast it with his hands, can survive in ultra heat environments, is basically just a giant lumbering piece of metal that is super duper tough to break, he can fly out of the suit after a certain point and become this energy dude, and most importantly, he is menacing and badass in a way that no other alien in the show manages to pull off. And despite having a more bland set of powers and design compared to, let's say, Clockwork, his stature, presence, and attitude more than makes up for it, and delivers an alien that is cool to watch, despite his pretty standard power abilities comparatively. This is a great example of how charisma can save a Ben 10 alien, and that powers and abilities can easily be replaced by the simple ability to captivate the audience and command respect through strength and sharpness. I know this one was introduced in Heroes United, but it's still an Omniverse alien. I mean, come on. Shock Squatch's Omniverse design is among my favorites in the whole show, and 1000% an improvement over the original. Electricity aliens are a dime a dozen in Ben 10, but this one takes a lot of aspects and merges them together in a nice package. He usually electrifies the ground, or sort of hugs the dude and electrocutes him that way. He's a super menacing sort of alien and comes off as more serious than a lot of the previous aliens. His Canadian A's are also pretty funny to me as a Canadian. You know what? I made an entire video about Alien X, and still, I'm with this dude.
After all the hype, the Alien X smoothie was a real disappointment. Kinda tastes like filler.
It did taste like filler, didn't it? A lot of hype for ultimately Ben's strongest and weakest alien simultaneously. Now, as we all know, Alien X really takes off after Omniverse, and I expand on this greatly in my Alien X video. But in Alien Force, we only get one episode dedicated to Alien X, and it's ultimately extremely disappointing given how much hype he had in the commercials, and the theme song, as this legendary 10th alien that was gonna take the world by storm. He sort of did that later, but not as of Alien Force or Ultimate Alien for that matter. So I think it's fair to put him somewhere in the middle here. Judging from my daily community posts, which you guys should definitely be following, you guys seem to love Big Chill, and I don't really understand it past a certain extent. Sure, his voice and chilling personality are awesome, and the way he can come off as extremely on ice but also have a menacing aura is really nice combination that very few aliens can pull off. His design is also really good, at least the UAF design, and ultimately there's very little holding this alien back. I agree that Big Chill is an amazing alien, but it's just not my alien, you know? I find him to be physically weak, which is technically true, but I love the ghost abilities, the flight, and the freezing obviously. Big Chill is pretty dope. It feels kind of unfair to rank this as a classic alien, and we do technically see him first in Secret Omnitrix, while actually with Ben 10,000 episode, but yeah. Weevil is just so badass. Being Ben's biggest alien already renders him an automatic W, but he also acquires certain powers as we see him on screen more. He can shoot lasers when he crosses his arms, he somehow has fantastic finger grip, and he had the most awesome final boss fight out of any of the video games. I mean, come on. And classic though, as I discussed in my Omniverse Redesigns video, his initial design did look kinda Iron Giant-y and generic, and while I appreciate the red and white a lot, it just looked a bit too predictable. But yeah, he didn't really get any other powers aside from being the tall dude who threw Vilgax into the Andromeda Galaxy. Ben's strongest alien, maybe not, is Humongosaur. Being one of the sheer strength aliens alongside forearms, who I compared both of another video, Humongosaur is just the definition of cool. Especially as a kid, I'm totally with Kid Ben on this one.
Lame, weak, guess this one's okay.
Humongosaur offers very few abilities aside from being Colossal Oaf of a dino, who demolishes everything in his path. And honestly, that's enough for a lot of fans, including myself. He's just fun to watch because he's so menacing and freaky. Except for when he gets his head stepped on by Vilgax, and a weird change in size between them. Yeah, what was that all about again? Upgrade is probably my favorite simplistic design for an alien in the show, aside from maybe Goop. His simple black, white, and green design is so slick and looks absolutely awesome, and the fact that the galvanic mechamorph transformation retains Ben's personal voice is a nice touch that is later explained scientifically, but as the classic series, it just sounds cool with a robotic filter over it. His powers are also awesome, being able to manipulate technology, cars, and even trains is a really cool idea, and the fact that he merges with it in the way he does, and not use Wi-Fi or some crap like that, makes Upgrade a really unique alien that would definitely diminish the show with its absence. While Stinkfly later is known as one of the weaker aliens in the roster, I think he was pretty badass in the classic series at least. Not only is he Ben's main flying alien, but he can also spit out a sticky goo that he can either swing on or hurt enemies with. He does have quite a few weaknesses, like water for example, but he more than makes up for it with a super menacing design and voice. The voice fits a bug-like alien like this perfectly, and the entire black face with the Omnitrix on it looks really good, albeit always makes me think his eye is the Omnitrix, not the 4 little tentacle things he has. Also the black hands, so good. I love Stinkfly. Let me tell you something, random idiot watching this video. Astier loves to plug his stupid videos here and there, but his truly best video has to be a stupid video all about Wrath, and how legendary Wrath is as an alien. Wrath can run on walls, yell at everyone and everything, and beat anyone in a fight. Sometimes you need to hit things a lot, and Wrath is great at that. That's why Wrath should be number 1 on this list, but Astier's just too stupid to do it already. Obviously, Echo's ultimate form is much superior, as I discussed in my video about that, but talking about his base form only, Echo is one of Ben's most versatile aliens, being basically indestructible since he can just keep duplicating and having a sonic shriek that can defeat almost any enemy. Echo is also cute, sounds cool, and has a simple design that looks awesome. Chromastone is just the definition of cool. Being sort of like this show's Diamond Head, he presents a more slick side of the alien roster, and comes off as incredibly cool to watch every time he's on screen. His pink and purple color scheme is really nice. I love the slim rock physique quite a bit, and the rainbow colors of his energy look really good, combined with the way he can shoot it out of his hands and eye. He becomes Ben's main alien to handle any electrical situations or absorb large amounts of energy, and can touch anything unsafe to other aliens for fear of getting fried. Overall, Chromastone's a go-to alien that was unfortunately shunned majorly in his appearances, especially when he got his ass kicked by Vilgax in the Vengeance Special. Feedback was Omniverse Swampfire for sure. It was given the most time to be fleshed out and overhyped in a lot of aspects. Another electricity alien, Feedback becomes the go-to alien for anything electric related. Even though there's Buzzshock, Chromastone, Shock, Squatch, Amphibian, and Frankenstrike, Feedback quickly becomes known as the main contender among these aliens. This is absolutely assisted by his killer voice and his killer design. He just comes off as badass in every way, and all the flashbacks we got in regard to his death and his reincarnation were awesome. What is he, Jesus? My favorite Omniverse alien, despite all the theatrics of Feedback, is absolutely Gravitack. Gravitack is a giant bouldering planet who can manipulate gravity, fly, create black holes, create force fields, and so much more. He can turn himself into a planet and orbit crap around him, and even survive in space. I love how they made him a really patient alien in that one episode, and his voice definitely fits that wholesome vibe. His design just makes me drool because it was done so well. I'll probably make a video in the future comparing him to Lodestar, but spoiler alert, he's much cooler in every aspect. Gravitack rules, man. Simply being the fastest alien doesn't do it for Accelerate, but it's more of how they execute such a simple idea. Accelerate has a crazy good design that makes so much sense for this power. He's sort of like a weird reptile with a blue and black long tail, but has wheels on his feet and a mask that closes when he runs to cover his face. The pointed head is just the cherry on top, and he certainly looks badass when he's in battle, whether it's his Kraken appearance where he runs on water and does that fast sideways kick, or whether Ben just uses him to get revenge on bullies, or sometimes just tactically retreat from a fight. Overall, Accelerate is a G and one of my favorites. I actually used to dislike him a lot more, but what can I say, he's grown on me a bit since looking back at it. I talked all about Heatblast in my video comparing him to Swampfire, and honestly there's very little I dislike about this alien. His design is fantastic throughout the franchise, his fire abilities are unparalleled, and except for having the water weakness, he's pretty much Ben's most badass standalone alien considering he doesn't have any unorthodox abilities, and since he was also the first transformation ever, he's just a gem who deserves a number 3 rank. I've heard 4 arms was the first alien concept they finished on the spot, and that makes a lot of sense. The red alien with 4 arms makes absolutely perfect sense for a brute strength alien, and his overall stature came out fantastic in the end with the voice and design. His powers are pretty limited to his strength, but he gets a bunch of fantastic moments in the show, which are just tasered into my brain, like the bird fight in Washington, BC, or when him and the other Tetraman save that building from falling down. His transformation sequence is also just so weird and awesome that I just adore it. Everything about this alien is cool, and I always wish I could look like 4 arms when I was a kid. No wonder Ben wants to use 4 arms every 2 seconds. 4 arms rules. Goop is a guilty pleasure alien of mine because I just love simplicity in everything, whether it's designs, powers, or a combination of both, which you know if you're a subscriber, and Goop is pretty much the epitome of simplicity in every way. I love the simple green design, the concept of being Ben's slime alien to curl into tight places or get out of a sticky situation, and the whole anti-gravity projector idea is pretty clever and gives Goop a fair vice to go along with his abilities. However, the only problem I have with it is the incredibly inconsistent way it disappears when he crawls under doors, and it seems like the projector is never there when it's inconvenient to the plot. Anyway, he can also shoot acid balls, burn things with his hands, pretty much fly, and survive any attacks on his body. It's a complicated relationship, but I love Goop. And numero uno on this list is Diamond Head. I just love Diamond Head because, as I discussed with Cannonbolt, Diamond Head stands as the most unorthodox alien in the original 10 playlist, coming off as the main contender in Ben's playlist, kinda like Swampfire was in Alien Force. Diamond Head can shoot diamonds out of his hands, manipulate the shape of his hands to create swords or walls, and can levitate giant diamond boulders out of the ground and drop them on Vilgax's head. Seriously, what the hell was that all about? Let's just teleport through from Moldy Warp's bunker or something? Either way, especially in the classic series, Diamond Head comes off as a massive W in any fight he's in, and he has a great design to go with it, having the beautiful shiny green design, and the awesome powers to go along with it. Ben's first Alien Force transformation also happens to be the coolest. Once again, if you're new to the channel, I don't want to just keep plugging and plugging, but I've made videos on many of the aliens mentioned here today, and one of them is also Swampfire when I compared him to Heatblast. Swampfire is versatile, agile, and looks awesome. His green slim design is amazing, and his powers couple together fabulously to make this plant-fire hybrid alien that utilizes all these powers in an amazing way. Again, you've heard me talk about him before. If you haven't, you just need to subscribe already, so you already know why I love him, and why he deserves to be number 1 on this entire list. And that was every Ben 10 alien ranked. Which were your favorites? Do you agree with my list, or am I completely unreasonable? What would your ranking be? Let me know all your lovely opinions in the comments down below. I'll be sure to heart my favorites. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video to support me, and join the Discord server to continue the discussions. I always have a Twitter too if any of y'all enjoy listening to my lame jokes. With all that said, thank you so much for watching, and I'm gonna go sleep now. I'll see you in the next one.